right, we out here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. This is Stock Market TV. Spencer, Steve, JC with you this morning. Let's see, what are we talking about? We got CPI out just now. JC can't spell CPI, so we probably won't talk too much about that. What's mooning today? I don't know. I'm sure Steve does. We'll talk about crypto. Small caps. We got to talk about some small caps because JC highlighted a few charts in his note this morning. Couple charts on my radar, some interesting things in the hot corner. Caleb Franzen will be on the show at 9. Very excited for that. Mr. Patrick Donawilla on at 9:30. So whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Twitter or on X or on MySpace, wherever, do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you very much. Let's go. Bring on Steve and JC.
All right. We are back. Welcome to the morning show. Steve Strazza with his bull market shirt on. Caleb Franzen coming on. Are you wearing this attire in honor of Mr. Franzen, or was it just coincidence?
Caleb Franzen has nothing to do with my bull market shirt.
All right. I thought maybe you were appealing to our guests a little bit.
Caleb Franzen is well aware that it's a bull market.
I think he is.
He is.
That about him.
Oh, yes.
But he's not alone.
Did you order a rabbit, R1?
No.
Why not?
No. You could
$199, bro. It's a bull market.
Right, but you could play with it first.
You spend more on your afternoon caviar.
I know I do. I know. Maybe. Why can't you? I think you try it out first. And then
I'm not getting it for a while. I paid twice as much on eBay so that I can get into the second batch.
Here's what I would buy. I want the Vision Pro.
Vision Pro is, what is it, 35 hundo?
That $200 for the rabbit, I'll put it in the Vision Pro fund.
I'm a little disappointed with myself that I haven't ordered a Vision Pro.
No, they're clunky. We gotta wait.
Oh yeah, I heard that. They're mad heavy, right?
Somebody told me like I wore it for a half hour and I didn't want to wear it anymore. I want to be able to play a round of golf in my Vision Pro. I want to be.
Dude, you see Zuck abusing them. They're like, oh, are you looking? Your aspirations are to make yours as good as the Vision Pro? And like he just went off. He's like, if this looks like that and that does this, then we've gotten worse or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know the details, but it was kind of funny watching Zuck abusing.
I mean, good for him. He seems very motivated to get this, get a lead on this product, new VR headset. I just think competing with Apple at a product level, I don't know if they've ever lost before. So it's a tough game that he's trying to play.
Meta stock looks a hell of a lot better than Apple.
Listen, it's about the operating system. It's about that we are all already trained to use Apple devices. So
maybe
that we put this headset on and it's just seamless to interact with. Meta doesn't have that.
Maybe. I'm interested in the stocks. Shall we, Spencer?
We shall.
All right, quick little rundown. Dow Futures up 19 basis points, 75 points for the Dow Futures. S&P Futures up 25 handles. That's about 0.5%. NASDAQ Futures up 70 basis points, 125 points to the upside this morning. 30-year futures hanging in there, pretty much flat. Silver flat, gold flat, copper flat, oil flat. So not much going on in the commodity space. Dollar mixed there in early action. Volatility index down towards 14.6. And of course, we have our friend Caleb Franzen coming in the house. We're definitely going to talk about crypto. Bitcoin flat on the day, 72,000. Ethereum down 1.5%, down towards 4,000. And then just quickly, just to run down Solana up 1% and change, $150 for Solana. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, 2.62 trillion American dollars.
We're gonna do a new crypto segment periodically about ones that are going to the moon, because every morning I wake up and there's just a list 5 to 10 tokens long of cryptos that are up 25, 30, 40, 60, 80%. So
well, Near Protocol today up 7%.
yep, that's been one of them.
Yep, you've got Injective Protocol. Look at that base in Injective
No
Protocol.
mooning from Injective, I would know that.
No,
Not yet, at least.
no mooning from Injective, but boy, is that base, whew, that base looking juicy.
The one I would have talked about today, do you know what Ton is? The open network? It used to be Maker or
Yeah,
Graph?
Maker DAO.
Graph? I think it was the old Graph, though. Now it's Ton.
Oh, I love bringing back, you know, names from prior cycles, Strazza.
Yeah, the cryptos, like stocks, can rename themselves.
That's
so
right. That's right.
way,
They reemerge, you know, reemerge.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
I got to tell you, seeing Litecoin and Ripple participate in a little bit of mooning made me feel young again.
Yeah.
Right?
Really gets my mojo going in the morning, seeing the old Ripple mooning.
I remember a time when I was transacting on Gemini. This was 2017, 18. And you had 3 options. You could buy 3 cryptos. It was Bitcoin, Ethereum. Can you guess the third at that time?
Bitcoin, Ethereum. Can I guess the third? You're saying it wasn't Ripple?
It was not Ripple.
And it wasn't Litecoin either?
It was Litecoin.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 options you had. This is 2017, probably, maybe even 18.
Litecoin was the third cryptocurrency we added to our research.
Yeah, that was like
2016.
It was like the big 3.
It was the, you know, big 3 is a strong word. All right, so I want to talk about, so Injective Protocol looks exactly like small caps, doesn't it? Peaking in December, consolidating sideways for a few months. Looks like a very similar sort of setup there, Strazza. Would you agree? Can we get off? Can we get off this morning off to a start where we both agree on something? Can we agree?
Yeah, I see. One's a little higher and tighter, but yeah, totally.
Multi-month consolidation. You could throw in high yield bonds there as well. So is Injective Protocol a proxy for the U.S. junk bond market?
Again, it goes back to my comments on your very beautifully done gold and crypto, or gold and Bitcoin overlay. I think it's just a risk assets thing.
Yeah. You know? I couldn't agree more. You know, consolidating sideways for a few months from the December highs. Small caps look like that. Value line looks like that. A lot of individual stocks and sectors also look like that. You know, people keep talking about how so many stocks are going up and how no stocks are going down. It's hard for me to agree with that. Sure, some stocks are going up. Definitely no stocks are going down. I would argue most stocks look like this. They look like Injective Protocol. They look like, you know, they look like small caps. They're in this sideways range. That's the majority. Can we show the Russell 2000 and the S&P 600? So fun fact, the S&P 600 has 600 stocks roughly. The Russell 2000 has 2,000 stocks. Ain't that something there, Strazza?
Yeah.
So the S&P 600 has an earnings filter. So they need a proven track record of earnings in order to be in the S&P 600 small cap index. Fun fact, right. To be in the Russell 2000, you don't need to make any. In fact, I think making money is frowned upon, I think.
It's purely size.
It's purely size for the Russell 2000. It has nothing to do with their income statement.
Of course, some sort of liquidity requirements, and then just market cap.
Yeah.
There's no earnings quality, right? Like the S&P does for all their indexes.
Any thoughts on why the one that doesn't have a quality filter is doing better than the one that does have a quality filter? Any thoughts there, Mr. CPA, Mr.
So I told you about the conversation. I told you about the conversation I had with one of the Russell salesmen in Miami a few weeks ago. They're so aware of it and they're proud of it, because the way they're almost like doing it like technicians. They're like, who are we? We're an index provider. Who are we to like pick stocks based on fundamentals, right? They're like, they just don't even want to play that game. What they would say to you is, we're letting the market decide.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And the simplicity, I think, lends itself to the Russell indexes probably giving us better information than the S&P indexes, right? They're broader and they're not trying to pick and choose. They're all encompassing. And I think that's what we would want. We talk about these broad indexes, whether it's the value line or the NYSE, right? We want all the stocks. We don't want them to not include Tesla or more recently Uber or Coinbase because they didn't meet the S&P's earnings requirements. They missed the best ones. They missed the best ones, the S&P.
I think it's a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
So the chat doesn't like this though. Let's pivot quickly. Dawson,
Strazza and me agreeing way too much. How about all right, so when you go sector by sector, throw up slide 3 there. When you go sector by sector in the small caps, none of them are above their December highs, except for industrials.
Yeah.
This is the only one. Every single sector in small caps is down over the last couple of months since 10 weeks or so. Yeah. Since the end of December peak when the dollar bottomed. Not a single small cap sector has gotten overbought this year. Not one.
I was just about to say that.
Not a single one.
That stands out. I do not like the momentum characteristics in the small cap indexes over the past few months.
So how do you feel about the Russell 2000 flirting with potentially making new highs, failing so far, but there. The S&P 600 nowhere near those former highs. Not a single small cap sector getting overbought. This is the only one that's actually up.
So be patient, right? Because like you just came on here and said, this has been a consolidation pattern for all these small cap indexes all year, right? So with the Russell 2000, if we look at something like IWM, just now starting to come out of it, little throwback, right? The past few days. Let's get a nice big green candle here and an overbought momentum reading. I think that changes everything. As we're coming out of this little sideways consolidation pattern, right? I wouldn't expect momentum to really get overbought until we get like a nice resolution out of here. Then I would need momentum to get overbought.
Yeah, listen, I'm open to rotation. I got to see it though. We continue to not see that. Larry Thompson chiming in on the chat. Asking me if we're going to talk about new highs. Yeah, if we start to get an expansion of new highs, we'll talk about it. But
that hasn't happened. New short-term highs.
We're not going to see an expansion in new highs. Like that's just not going to happen. We saw the high in the new highs list, and we might not see that for years.
Short-term new highs have been expanding all year.
You're saying year to date, short-term new highs?
Yeah, they're moving higher, not lower.
The more interesting ratios is not so much the new highs. When you look at like 21-day highs versus 21-day lows, 10-day highs versus 10-day lows, it's a denominator fallacy because there are no lows, right? So obviously that net new high list. But yeah, Larry, I'm not so much focused on the new highs list. I think that's kind of meaningless, especially the 52-week highs list. I'm more interested in the lack of new lows. That's sort of where my head is at. So the new highs list, we saw the high. We're not going to exceed that. We might not exceed that for years, the 52-week high list.
I wouldn't expect us to. That was like
if every stock is already going up, it's mathematically impossible for more stocks to go up.
Depending on the index and the period that we use on the new high indicator, that was the highest reading that we've seen in our entire data set for some of them. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be some time for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be some time. So I would not. So why are we not talking about the new highs list? Because there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, but here's okay. But the whole, I got to see it. We are no longer in a market environment where we need the bullish data to prove itself to us. We are very much in a market that is innocent until proven guilty. This is a bull market, right? I think you don't freak out that momentum's not getting overbought when we're in a range-bound pattern for 3 months. You just be patient and wait for that momentum to eventually get overbought, right? So the whole I got to see it. We've seen it. The market has shown us, right? This is a bull market. I don't think we need to see an overbought momentum reading right away.
In what?
I'm talking about like the small caps, lack of that momentum.
I'm just saying there isn't a single small cap sector that's been overbought this year. So for a bull market, that's pretty fucking weak, All
right, so let's do like scenario analysis. You're long. That data point doesn't make you close out your longs.
Me personally, if I'm long, what?
Theoretically.
I don't like owning things that are in sideways ranges. I like owning things in uptrends.
Okay, so you bought the breakout above 200 in IWM.
I did not because I don't trust it.
Theoretically, play the game.
Oh, all right. So let's pretend that JC buys things below resistance. Let's pretend that JC, this is 20 years ago and I was still dumb.
You can't move the line. You agreed with me for years that it was 200 in IWM. Now we're above 200 and there's like some imaginary resistance that you're talking about.
Yeah, because there aren't any sectors that are participating. It's just the index. And by the way, it's one of the two indexes. It's not even the S&P 600.
Right. This is what I'm looking for then. Humor me. You buy the breakout above 200, thinking it was a breakout in IWM. Now, what, 2 months have gone by. Like you said, we got a little throwback and we're still just kind of chopping around here, but it's mostly sideways or trendless still. Are you selling, closing out that new open position, long IWM? Are you selling because of this lack of overbought momentum readings?
It doesn't make any sense to me. I wouldn't be long in the first place. So, like, I can't tell you. I don't know. We're still in a range. I don't buy things when we're still in a range. Like, what does he want me to say, Spencer? Like, you want me to make up, like, this hypothetical situation that I just would never do? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. No?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. He's trying to, like, ask me to, you know, what I would do in a situation
No.
I would never be in.
It's okay to play ball sometimes, JC. It's
like,
okay to
it's like, oh, JC, like let's say you're in a sushi restaurant, but you don't feel like eating sushi that day. What would you order? It's like, well, I wouldn't fucking do that. Like, if we're at a sushi restaurant, I'm getting sushi. Like, what do you want? You want to get the noodles?
What? Yeah, you wouldn't eat some udon and some teriyaki? I mean, come on. There whatever. Fine. We're going in circles here. What else was in the dot? What other charts we have today? We have a bunch of charts from Caleb. Very excited for that. What other charts did you have, JC? You had a couple small cap charts.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the small caps because it's interesting. It's actually a little bit surprising. It's a little bit surprising that there isn't a single small cap stock that's overbought. How about the high beta? There's another interesting one that hasn't gotten going either. You know, it looks like that injective protocol. It looks like high yield bonds. You know, it's actually very, very similar. Throw that up. See? So in bull markets, you see, we tend to see high beta stocks outperforming low volatility. That's like classic healthy environment. You know, these are the things that happen in bull markets. Low volatility underperforms, high beta outperforms. That just hasn't happened this year, right? So I think that this ratio, you could probably throw that up there with some of these small cap indexes. You could throw with the median stock index in the value line. You could throw junk bonds in there. You know, injective protocols like its own like animal. It's in the crypto space, but it looks like this too. You know, I think to Strazza's point, it's kind of like one of these like, you know, risk appetite sort of, you know, representations, right? How do you feel about this, Spencer?
Yeah, I don't have too strong a take. I was, while you were saying that, I was looking at
what's Strazza gonna say? Like he doesn't like that I don't want to buy small caps here. Like he doesn't that he gets offended by that. So what's he gonna say here? That it's just pay no attention to high beta stocks underperforming. Pay no attention. This is just pretend. Is, you know, let's close our eyes and hope it goes away.
Not underperforming, not outperforming.
Underperforming. Fine, that's fair. That's fair. Not underperforming, just not outperforming. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So Larry says that ratio looks to be consolidating from a prior uptrend. Would we not give it the benefit of the doubt? Yeah, 100%. But why is it taking so long, Larry? You see what happens, Larry? You see what happens.
Have we talked about how cool or good it is that the indexes, by and large, are going higher despite mega cap tech not really? I think
industrials. We said it 1,000 times. Industrials are the generals. It's not tech. It's industrials. You're seeing it in the small cap space. Definitely, the only sector in small caps that's actually up since December.
No, I'm not talking about small caps.
No. But it's just a good example. The only
right.
sector in small caps that's actually up is industrials. But that's putting that aside. That just reiterates that industrials are the leaders. Look at Europe. Why do you think Germany and France and Denmark and all these countries are making new all-time highs? They don't have any tech. Those are industrials, dude. I think France is like 23% industrials. Denmark's like 27% industrials, or maybe I have that flipped upside down. It's a lot of industrials. They don't have any. There's one tech stock in the DAX.
My point is, it's just cool. It's cool to see because, you know, Apple, Apple, Google, who else has looked like crap lately? Microsoft is Tesla, yeah. Apple, Google, Tesla. Microsoft's been okay. relative to those names. Amazon's been good, but yeah, look, people. I say people, right? Bears complain that it's just 7 stocks, right? And here we are. Half of those 7 are sucking right now, and the indexes are still going higher. That's pretty cool.
Nobody's saying that now. Those idiots were saying that last.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty well. I just want to stop and acknowledge that.
But the only people that said that were essentially proving that they didn't actually look. Like anybody at any point last year that said there was only 7 stocks going up.
No. It's not. I don't think that was ever it. I don't think anybody was ever saying it's just 7 stocks going up. I think they were saying. Yeah. I think they were saying it's 7 stocks accounting for a disproportionate amount of the earnings growth or the market cap appreciation of the index. Those are not the same things.
Well, the earnings growth doesn't actually matter, but to
you. But to other people,
to the indexes, the earnings growth does not matter to the indexes. Never has.
Yeah. Okay. Fine, but the market cap,
there's zero weighting in earnings growth.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Zero. But the market cap appreciation, that's what people were saying.
Yeah, but the largest components are going to dominate that, regardless of whether the market's going up, down, or sideways.
But my point is, they're not doing it right now. The market's still going up. So
it never was. For the record, those stocks still dominate the movements in the market caps today, even though they're not working. They still dominate that.
I just like to see the fact that we're still going higher, and okay, maybe the 7 stocks thing is too passe.
And by the way, it's not bearish that the biggest and best stocks are doing the best. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like it's not necessarily bullish that those stocks are not. You know what I mean? Like
other way. But is it bearish that the leaders are not participating?
It's not bearish if the leaders are not participating. It's bearish if the leaders are going down.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are.
Well, that's why I've been pointing them out. Apple crashing every day is probably not bullish for the stock market. How bearish is it? It probably depends on what the other stocks are doing, right? But it's certainly not a bullish characteristic that Apple's going down every day, right? Making new 52-week lows on a relative basis every single day. But it can't just be Apple. Right? You need more stocks going down. And one thing that we reiterate every single day is that we don't have any expansion in new lows at all. 52-week lows, 10-day lows, 21-day lows, 30-day lows, 3-month lows. We got nothing. Zippity-doo-dah. Mathematically, you cannot have a market correction without the prices of stocks going down. Would you agree with that, Mr. Strazza?
Adding to AVAX and Injective this morning.
Oh, wow. That's what he was out doing.
I like these ranges.
See how he just changes the subject?
Speaking of mega cap, you have a nice setup here in NVIDIA, because you have an obvious out, right? Yesterday's low, obvious out for a quick trade.
If it's what was it, Walter Demer, Strazza, who said if it's obvious, then it's obviously wrong?
What did I do here? I hit a button. Is everything okay?
Was that Demer? If it's obvious, then it's obviously wrong.
It sounds like a Demerism, but I'm not sure. I don't want to just give it to him.
Demer's mad old. He may have gotten it from another elderly fellow.
He is the most quotacious of any of us.
Most quotacious
in the TA community.
Can we get Walter Demer on here, man?
No. The answer is no.
I've tried several times.
I've also tried several times.
I had him on a podcast once.
Yeah,
like 5 years ago.
I thought after he did he just did something with the CMT.
Yeah, because he's in Florida and they were down in Tampa, so it's right there.
So I dropped back in and I was like, "Hey, we could do something like that. Just come on and talk."
No,
I don't think he's.
Did you slip into Walter Demer's DMs?
I did.
You did.
I did. I did. Yeah.
I slide. I don't slip. I slide.
All right. All right. So Caleb's coming on in a few minutes. Spencer Israel.
Right.
Anything happened overnight that we need to know about? Any big earth-shattering revelations?
Some mooners.
Some mooners. There was a couple. There's like a big industrial conference. So a bunch of the airline companies came out and reiterated or revised downward their guidance. Specifically, Southwest was the one that the market's paying most attention to. Southwest down 8% this morning. American also reiterated. Delta reiterated, but Southwest actually lowered their guidance for what's the headline here? It was a cute for the current quarter. They lowered their guidance for the current quarter. I think we have the chart here somewhere if I could bring them up. But those are pretty much it for like overnight news. Not too much. You had a couple earnings like Oracle.
No,
That earnings season was over.
Cisco and Oracle.
Yeah, I know.
They're like outliers, but we should talk about Cisco and Oracle. Also,
Please.
All right.
the ARM IPO.
Let's talk about ARM. ARM. I can never remember more people talking about an IPO lockup expiration than this ARM thing.
Because the thing with IPOs is that they're exit strategies for the founders, right? And the large
They are now.
Yeah, but the lockup expiration is not some magical event. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows it's coming.
Well,
it's not
explain to dumb people like me what is it that's going on, why people are talking about it, why we should or should not care.
Who wants to go?
You want me to explain it? A lockup period is simply the current shareholders who are allocated stock in an initial public offering are typically locked up for about 6 months, usually, right? And what that means is they cannot sell, right? And that's important because there's a lot of propping up of these IPOs in the early days and weeks, right? And if these large shareholders could just come in and dump supply on the market, it really messes things up, right? So they let the stock kind of find its footing, have 6 months of price history, right? Stabilize a bit, and then these guys can come out and then they're allowed to sell their shares eventually. There's very large shareholders. Typically, these are guys who want to sell on day one if they're allowed to. On day whatever, 6 months later, if the stock is up, like in this case, 4x, then they probably definitely want to sell. So I think it's sound logic to say that there will be new supply coming to the market for ARM today.
Yeah, and as evidence of that, look at ARM is doing pre-market. So yes, in theory, it's up. In theory, every institution that was awarded an allocation at the IPO is allowed to sell their shares today. Not that they're going to, just that they can, right? And people interpret this as what Steve just said. Oh, there's going to be a bunch of supply flooding into the market. You better get out ahead of it. No, it's a known entity. It's a known event, right? I think there's like a ton of hype around this ARM lockup for expiration today, and I've never seen more mentions of a lockup than for ARM, like I said. So look, ARM is up in the pre-market, in your face, everyone that got out yesterday. But I don't. It's just another day, man. I mean, I've seen instances where an IPO rips on their lockup expiration because everyone's on one side and
what do you think, Strazza? What are you thinking here?
It matters. The supply and demand is all we spend our time looking at, right?
So correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. We agree that it matters. The question is, how much is it going to matter?
Something to be aware of.
Something to be aware of. Could potentially not be the end of the world. Could potentially be significant. I guess we'll have to see. Is that what you're saying?
Here's what I'll say. Say I'm holding long calls and I got a couple weeks to expiration. I'm selling ahead of today. Pretty much no questions asked. Because like Spencer said, sometimes it doesn't matter. And we got a green candle right now. But if I woke up this morning and saw down 10% pre-market, the lockup period just expired, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Right. So I wouldn't want to be holding.
But to Spencer's point, it's not a secret. Right.
Fine.
In fact, Spencer's talking about how he's never seen so many people talking about it. Like, how much of this is already priced in? My suspicion, based on doing no math at all, just having conversations, seems to be a lot of it's probably priced in. No?
Yeah, great. But like, can you really price it in?
No.
Like that kind of supply coming along? I don't know if that's on the market price in. Like, here's the thing. Jeff Bezos getting divorced. Yeah, it's not a secret. Everybody knows about it. 50% of his stock is now his wife's. He's got to sell it. He's a forced seller. Everybody knows about it. But he comes on and unloads those shares on the market. There's pressure on Amazon stock. We saw that.
Yeah.
It was not a secret. Everybody knew about it. The stock price couldn't rise for an extended period of time while he was selling shares. We saw Musk do it with Tesla. He was raising money for the Twitter thing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just it's a supply and demand dynamic that you want to be aware of. It doesn't mean that the stock price has to go down.
Fine. Fair enough. You want to be aware of it. I wouldn't, live and die by it. But sure, definitely be aware of it. So here, now considering us all aware, everyone, the ARM lockup expiration is today. Insiders are allowed to sell their shares. Let's see what happens.
Guys, I have something big to talk about.
Can it be after Caleb?
This is really big. I think it has to be after Caleb because there's just not enough time.
Why don't you tease it?
Do it right now.
Why don't you tease it?
We're going to talk about Asia when we're done with Caleb here.
Are we talking about Asian stocks or the Asian Gulf experience?
No, I was talking about that yesterday with some buddies. No, we're going to talk about Asian stock markets.
Any country specifically that you'd like to focus on? Tell me
they're
Vietnam and the Philippines.
Not allowed to sell?
It's not. I'm not going to. It's an important one.
All right. Bring on Caleb. Is he here?
All right.
Is he here?
Oh, yeah.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Let's find out.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Oh, Mr. K. Every time I see you, your hair gets bigger.
My man.
You're like an 80s female pop star. Like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm into it. I like it.
Listen, my mom has
where on earth are you these days, Caleb?
I've been back in Romania now for about a month. I spent a month in Bucharest, hung out with my friends out there, and then on Saturday I went about 2.5 hours north to a town called Brașov, Romania. It's a lot sleepier, much smaller, much more nature. So gonna really dial in while I'm out here. I'm looking forward to it.
So why don't you tell the folks quickly, how long have you been in Europe? A year now? Do I have that right?
Exactly a year. March 7th is when I arrived, 2023.
I feel like I had a conversation with you and you were like 3 months in, and I was like, how long are you going to stay out there? You're like, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
That's pretty much still my position today. I don't know when I'm coming back. So.
And why are you focusing specifically on that part of the world? It's a big world, right? Mm-hmm. But you've kind of been in this like Eastern Europe. I mean, you've gone over to Spain, right? If I had that right, but you've kind of been in that Eastern Europe kind of part of the world. Why?
For one, it's just more affordable. So I'm still early in building out my business. And so I've kind of had to optimize for cost reasons. And so coming to Eastern Europe, I think initially was really motivated by that. But now that's not really as much of a concern, but I've just really loved it out here. I've made really good friends, really good connections. I feel super safe. The food is good. I just have no real complaints. There's a lot of history. It's pretty cool to be in places where communism fell in 1989 or 1991. It's just like, especially as an American growing up in Southern California, you're just so detached from that reality. And so it's kind of interesting, like the people that you're walking around are almost a museum in and of themselves. Like an old guy might have been a teenager or, in his early 30s during that period. And it's like, whoa, it's kind of bizarre, So anyways, I really loved it out here.
Are you finding yourself having conversations with older folks that did have those experiences and you're able to learn from them and stuff like that?
More so from their kids, right? So I ask, the friends and the people that I've made, like I've been dating out here. And so to just talking with people, trying to get a sense for that, So it is interesting for sure.
How's the dating life for an American dude in Eastern Europe?
Did you say for you? Yeah, let's talk about this.
It's treating me well. The women are very beautiful. I was in Bucharest. I think the most beautiful women in the world are there probably.
Wow.
We went to this club and it's just, shout out Bucharest. I'll get off my high horse there.
Romania. Croatia?
No, Romania.
Romania?
2 million people live there. It's much bigger than you think.
Wow. All right. Enough with the with a dating life in Eastern Europe. We could do this all day. So this block and chain that all the kids are talking about, line go up. I see.
Number go up. That's right.
What's going on there?
I mean, this has been like the big area of my focus, So I mean, as 2023 kept progressing, I was focusing less and less on the stock market, more and more on Bitcoin and crypto.
And then, why is that? Is that because of the trend or your personal interest, or what do you think?
Both, for sure. It's been a bit of both. And so, I mean, I think, like we don't need to jump straight into the miners here, but even like my thesis on the miners was based on the simple fact that I was extremely bullish on Bitcoin when it was trading at 35,000. And so here we are today sitting at 72. That thesis for Bitcoin has certainly played out. It hasn't in some of the equities, and that's totally fine. Either way, I think what we've seen is we're still in the very early stages of a bull market in crypto. We're 15 months into a bull market in Bitcoin, and I think that the bull market in crypto for altcoins specifically really started there in Q4 in November of 2023. And so, Spencer, I have a chart for total 3. If you're able to pull that up, minus stablecoin. So it's excluding USDT and USDC. This looks fantastic. And it maybe if we do have the chart, looking at it with something like a 50.
1 second.
Sure. Either way, I think what we're seeing is a lot of momentum thrusts across the entire space. And so when we're looking at just the altcoin universe for total 3,
Slide 13,
it looks really.
Spencer.
There we go.
Spencer
And you're measuring.
Spencer's not crypto native, right? He's more of
I
a
was
stock market native guy.
I was trying to read the slide, man.
You should know what it looks like. Total 3. You should be able to draw it by now, Spencer. Come on, let's go.
Hold on.
Here it is.
Get your
Bada
shit
bing,
together,
bada boom.
Spencer.
I heard thrust. I heard momentum thrust. Caleb,
Yeah.
how are you measuring this?
Okay,
Are we
so
still talking about girlfriends in Eastern Europe, or this is
no.
about okay.
We're talking about good one. Okay, so I'm looking at the 52-week Williams percent R oscillator, and so in Q4 we had this massive momentum thrust from the lower bound all the way to the upper bound. That's a massive overbought signal, as you guys talk about all the time. Overbought is bullish. It's not something to fade. And so I think the thing that really caught my attention here is very similar to what happened in 2020. That 52-week Williams percent R oscillator cooled down and then made a second thrust back above. And I've kind of denoted that in that red arrow. So that was in November of 2020. And that was when we really took off. And so when we look at that dynamic today, that signal again just happened 3 weeks ago. So I think we're in the early stages here. We're above the 61.8 from the all-time high to the 2022 lows. And so I'm personally targeting a return of the 161.8, which gets us to about 3 trillion in total 3 excluding stablecoins. So if we're at 3 trillion in total 3 excluding stablecoins, where's ETH? Where's Bitcoin? So, clearly this is, it doesn't get much more bullish than this in my opinion.
This party is just getting started. I also think that you can make a call on kind of what stage we're in the crypto bull run based on the chart patterns, right? The crypto space right now, I know this is total 3, it's an index. They all look like this. More and more every day are patterns where I can look at it and say, okay, this primary trend is reversing, right? Cardano, Elron Gold, the Uni, they all have these beautiful rounding bottoms. It reminds me of the equity market like last summer. Last summer, we were running scripts trying to quantify and measure how many stocks had completed these primary trend reversals. This is how I feel right now about cryptos. I think earlier stage than the stock bull run. And there's just a lot of opportunities to get in. Brian Lund calls them stage 1 or stage 2 reversals. Like that's what's happening right now. So I think there's just a ton of opportunities.
I'm not good with the stages. I'm not like a hardcore. I'm not a hardcore Weinstein guy like some people are. Yeah. And I'm not against it. I'm just, I don't like to speak about things that I'm not familiar with. So I don't know the answer of what constitutes a stage 1 or 2 or 3. Do you, Caleb? Are you familiar?
It's 1 to 2.
I know the 1 to the 2, and I know the 2 is the good one. You want to see the stage 2 breakout, which basically is leaving that accumulation zone.
That's right.
How many stages are there? Are there 4?
Yeah.
I stop at 2.
Got it. I think me too. That might be my problem.
Us TA people, we have all of these different words and phrases to say the same things. Right.
Yeah, but different authors call them different things. Different traders call them different things. Different asset classes call them different things. Like, Edwards and McGee weren't writing about mooning. Right? Like that wasn't a verb yet. Right? In the 1940s.
A parabolic top.
Yeah, they had other, other
My
words for
favorite
it.
is Wyckoff, markup phase. Doesn't say uptrend, markup.
Right, there you go. All right, Caleb. Well, all right, so what else we got? All right, so total 3, that makes sense.
So let's stay focused on like broader crypto market dynamics. If we can pull up the chart of USDT versus USDT dominance, I think this is super important for people to understand.
What is this ratio? What's USDT?
So USDT is the stable coin, right? So in blue, we're looking at USDT market cap. So how much of Tether is out in supply, and USDT dominance in red is the percentage of total market cap, right? So what we see here, there's nothing more bullish for crypto.
The percentage Tether versus total market cap of all crypto.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't explain that well enough.
I know what you're talking about, but for the folks that are new to the funny money,
Exactly. And so what we're seeing right now is we're seeing USDT market cap rising, meaning there's a bunch of new issuance of Tether, and we're simultaneously seeing a massive decrease in USDT dominance. And so what that means is that a bunch of new Tether is being created, and it's being immediately redeployed into the crypto ecosystem. It's not staying in USDT, right? It's moving out into alt, it's moving into Bitcoin, it's moving into Ethereum. And so, Spencer, I also sent a second chart which is building on this if we also have this exactly. So the top pane is what we were just looking at. The bottom pane is total crypto market cap. So look at how this performs in those periods. Total crypto market cap rips during these periods where USDT is rising and USDT dominance is falling. And so we've seen that play out. That's exactly what happened in 2020, 2021. It's exactly what's been happening since bada bing, bada boom, Q3, Q4 of last year, right? And so this is extremely bullish. And so as we think about trying to confirm whether or not we're still in an uptrend in crypto, are we still seeing bullish, quote unquote, fundamentals with market dynamics in crypto? This is going to be one of the best ways to continue to validate that we're still in that type of market environment.
Caleb, how would you feel in a hypothetical situation where Bitcoin is below 70, Ethereum's below 35? Not that that's happening right now, and I'm not necessarily betting on that at all. Hypothetically, we find ourselves next week, let's call it next Tuesday or Wednesday. Bitcoin's back at 68, let's call it 3,400 for Ethereum. How are you feeling about the cryptocurrency space in that scenario?
Totally fine, still bullish. I think, for me, as I kind of look at things, I wouldn't be surprised.
But are you adding, are you putting on new positions? Are you taking any positions off? Are you viewing the market differently? Like, okay, let's see if we can break back above it. Are you a little bit more defensive, or does it not matter at all, you think?
So I've been very short term with my crypto trading. I own Bitcoin and ETH in long-term accounts. I'm not planning to touch those. If anything, I'm just continuing to add. So if we get the dip that you're referencing, I would be looking to add to those positions. As I think really about the short-term trading account, I know for a fact if we had that kind of decline, I would probably be stopped out on a lot of things, and I'm totally fine and comfortable with that.
Got it. Okay. So you would be acting upon that, forcefully or on your own. But yes. Okay. Yeah,
Correct.
I agree with that. No arguments here. Just curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, I've been stopped out a bunch during this bull market since Q4, and I immediately get redeployed. So as soon as I start to feel any sense of confidence, if I'm looking at like 15 or 30-minute bullish RSI divergences, if I'm seeing retests of certain dynamic moving averages or things of that nature, I'm immediately redeploying that money. So I want to go risk off when the market is telling me risk off, but I'm immediately going to go risk on as soon as I see signs that we're potentially moving back in that environment. And that's worked out for me really well.
Why don't we talk about traditional markets, if you don't mind?
Let's do it.
I know you're all junked up on the crypto for good reason, and you've done very well, so kudos to you. But there's this whole other market, that the kids don't know about. This whole stocks thing. They've been trading these things for a long time. It's a big deal. I think it's like it's almost 50 trillion in the United States stock market. It's like 46, 47, something like that. And then globally, you're looking at like 75, 80 trillion. So it's, it's a big deal, right?
For sure, yeah.
2.5. Caleb, JC's question about why are you so interested in cryptos? Is there an element of this is just an extension of the risk curve and you're just treating these as high beta stocks and it's a bull market for risk assets and you want the juice? So that's why you're so interested in crypto?
100%. And look, I'm analyzing equity markets every single day. I'm writing reports on them every single week. Like I'm keeping an extreme pulse on what's happening in the stock market.
Right, but so you start there. That's where the work begins. But then you end with cryptos as your vehicle. Yeah,
because Caleb's not like a. You're not crypto native. You're TradFi native.
I come from traditional markets. Yeah, exactly. I worked in wealth management. I worked in banking.
You've just seen opportunities in this space. Yeah, so, you're like us.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're like
it's not that you're not bullish on the stock market, but I was on here the other day, and you don't have to share if you don't like to, but I was looking through my accounts and I noticed in my short-term accounts, I own about twice as much market value in crypto than stocks right now. And that wasn't like intentional. It just kind of happened that way. And it's a stock market call, really.
Yeah, well, this year in particular, there's been a lot more cryptos going up. There's been fewer stocks going up. We've talked about that. So it's easier to find cryptos going up than it is to find stocks going up. Your portfolio reflects that. So does Caleb's. Neither one of you can disagree with me on that.
It's just beta for me. It's just beta. This is a bull market.
By the way, Strazza, I'm with you. I've been in that same camp with you. So I think the three of us are all agreeing whether Strazza likes it or not. We're all on the same page here.
But it's an interesting conversation because a lot of people wouldn't think this, right? That like these cryptos are really just an extension of this conversation we're about to have on.
Yeah, because it's late cycle and it's parabolic and the world's coming to an end and the whole credit crisis is going to start any day now, right?
Listen,
credit spreads would disagree.
Credit spreads would disagree. Anybody who thinks that there's a credit crisis coming clearly has not been looking at the bond market.
Exactly. Exactly.
So okay, so talk to me. Bond market, $130 trillion market. Crypto, $2.5 trillion, right? Bond market, big deal. Stock market, big deal. Thoughts?
So, I mean, I'll focus a little bit more on the stock market than I will on bonds. I think for me, I'm still extremely bullish on stocks. For me, like I really track S&P 500 internals. I know you guys might look a little bit more at NASDAQ or NYSE, right? And I totally get that. For me, I'm really focused on the S&P. And so for me, what I've seen so far in my data that I pull is, especially in the past 3 weeks, we've been seeing an expansion in new highs and we've been seeing a decrease in new lows. And I think for a period there in January and February, we weren't seeing that expansion in new highs. We were actually seeing it decline. And we were seeing a small expansion in new lows, but not to a sustained degree, right? And so, Spencer, I do have a chart of S&P 500 moving averages. I'm not sure which slide deck you guys have that on, but I think
slide 5, I think.
Exactly. So this is the top is that was it right there. Perfect. The top is the percentage of S&P 500 stocks trading above their 20-day moving average, then 50, then 100, then 200 at the bottom. And so I think when we're looking at 100 and 200, the third and fourth charts at the bottom there, those were basically stagnating. We didn't see a massive rollover. We did see a correction, but we really saw that correction in the 20-day and the 50-day, right? And what have we seen since then, really since mid-February, is we've seen those metrics re-accelerate to the upside. So we're seeing stocks in the S&P reclaim above their 20-day, reclaim above their 50-day. Something I also track is the amount of stocks that are trading above their 20-day, 50-day, and 200-day moving average simultaneously. That has also been increasing and re-accelerating lately. So we're above all three major moving averages, if you will. And I think that's another piece of fantastic evidence that this market is re-strengthening, is re-expanding. We're seeing equal weight S&P 500 hit new all-time highs last Thursday and Friday. I know we slipped a little bit there yesterday. And in fact, what we're seeing is equal weight outperforming market cap. So I think that's interesting. Right here, what we're looking at actually is equal weight tech versus equal weight S&P. So when I look at this chart, I continue to see higher highs and higher lows in 2024. This is a really good sign. It's cooled off here since the beginning of March. So basically 2 full trading weeks of a decline. And I think, this gives me a little bit of pause because we're seeing utilities lead, we're seeing financials lead, we're seeing real estate lead. Last week was terrible for tech, discretionary, and communications. So, but I think what that's telling me more than anything is the market is rotating, But again, like if we just think high level here, from my perspective, we're continuing to see bullish dynamics take place. We're seeing breadth expand. None of these right now are giving me a sign that we're moving into a bearish regime or even a major correction. Maybe there's justification to not be, taking trades left and right to the upside and maybe exercise some caution. But I think until proven otherwise, we're still in a bull market, and you could make the case that it's healthier now than it's been for most of 2023.
I don't know about that, but what do you think it would take? Healthier now. Last year was pretty freaking good. I mean, that's, high bar there, to be fair.
Internals are better.
High bar.
I would say internals are better now. Maybe Q4 internals were pretty strong, but
right. Last year, it was the first 6 months were the best first 6 months of the year in the history of the NASDAQ.
True.
This ain't that.
You can keep shorting stocks.
I'm going to short stocks that are going down. I'm going to buy stocks going up. Is there a problem with that? Is that not allowed?
Not how I would kind of operate in the market.
Well, good. Caleb, when you said kind of innocent till proven guilty sort of thing,
Sure.
We haven't seen any evidence of a major correction or anything like that. I agree wholeheartedly. I think the most obvious, I think we'll all agree, is we just haven't seen any any new lows expanding. And mathematically, you can't have a correction in the stock market without the prices of stocks falling. So that's common sense. Outside of an expansion in new lows, what do you think? What are you looking for to perhaps exercise more caution in equities?
I'd be looking for failed breakouts. So I didn't provide the chart, but we just had the equal weight version of the S&P. So that's RSP is the ticker, hit new all-time highs. If we fall below those former all-time highs from 2021, the beginning of 2022, that would certainly be cause for concern, maybe shift into a little bit more of a defensive stance. We're not there yet, so we'll see how that evolves. It's something I'm going to be checking on every single day. If we're seeing continued evidence of staples and or utilities outperforming the S&P, I think that would certainly be cause for concern. If we're seeing high beta versus low volatility breakdown, that would be cause for concern. We're just not there yet.
We're not seeing it break out either, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
But to your point, it's not breaking down. To your point,
it's not breaking down, right? So like when
Which
I
goes
look
back to the new lows situation, right? We're not seeing new lows. We might see less new highs, but we're not seeing new lows. Same thing, right?
I don't think real estate doing well is defensive at all. I think that's incredibly offensive at this point.
First of all, real estate represents what, 1% of the S&P 500? Does it?
Yeah, they're not important. They're not important, but they're trading like banks.
I think they're less important than materials, which is crazy to think about because materials are just non-existent.
If you guys want a cool trade idea, I brought a chart of Equinix, EQIX.
Yes.
So this is a data center real estate investment trust. So you're playing on the real estate theme, but you're also getting some of that tech exposure. This just broke out to new all-time highs. And so we're trading above those former highs there in blue. We retested it briefly yesterday. So again, yes, this could materialize into a failed breakout. We know that every time we get a breakout, we should be looking for a failed breakout, but it's a breakout, right? So, I like this chart a lot.
I had
Strazza, is this the tech of real estate, like you call it?
I'll tell you something real sexy about this one. I had a sell side note come across my desk. One of our clients sent it over, and it was titled "Housing the AI Revolution."
Yep.
It was all about Equinix. Is that how you say it? Equinix, right?
Yep.
So these guys are being touted as the REIT for AI. I don't know.
Certainly looks, based on the price action, certainly looks like that's the case.
They own data centers all over the world. All over the world.
This is like a picks and shovels AI play.
Exactly.
I like that.
Really good ones.
Like if you need to buy real estate for whatever reason, maybe take a look at some of this stuff instead of some of the other shitty REITs, basically.
And somebody just threw in the chat, Accenture, also like a huge AI play, I think. Same with Gartner.
Accenture's but they're a consulting firm.
Yeah,
they're a consulting company.
Who's going to teach all these idiots how to use AI?
A consulting firm. I like when Warren Buffett goes off on consultants.
You're right.
He's like, if you're hiring a consultant, you've already lost, right? Like Warren Buffett goes off on these guys. It's hilarious.
Well, they got
Caleb, I have an important question for you.
Okay.
Strazza asked you before about, kind of how like you've been looking at crypto and it's almost like, further out on the risk curve and everything like that. And, generally I would agree with all that. At what point do you consider it another asset class altogether, and where it's not just an extension of the stock market and it's its own thing? Like we've seen correlations come off somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all agree that they're still kind of, doing the dance together. But how do you think about that, from an asset allocation standpoint?
So I think that in my mind, it's Bitcoin versus everything else from an investment standpoint. From a trading standpoint, you can make the case that they're really going to move together. But from an investment standpoint, I really view it as Bitcoin versus everything else, because when we're talking about Ethereum, when we're talking about Avalanche, when we're talking about Chainlink, when we're talking about Solana, these are really just fintech platforms at the end of the day, right? And so my view, I'm still bullish on a lot of those things because I'm betting that really smart people are going to build really cool shit on those platforms that's going to create a lot of value. So that's the play there. But Bitcoin is totally different. That's a monetary instrument as far as I'm concerned, right? And so I see it as being totally different than the rest of crypto. So as we think about crypto and or Bitcoin, becoming something different than tech stocks, becoming different than the rest of the stock market, I think that's going to be a journey. It's not just going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be this slow divergence that takes place likely over the course of the next 10 to 20 years. I still think we're still a bit far from that. And generally speaking, I would think that Bitcoin is going to trade much more in line with the S&P 500 over the next 10 years than it will not trade like the S&P 500, if that makes sense.
You know, one of the interesting things that came across my desk more recently, a VC, his name is Nick Carter, pretty deep in the crypto space. And one of the things he said recently that kind of got my attention was that, what's that?
Backstreet Boys.
No. Thank God. Imagine taking crypto advice from a Backstreet Boy. So Nick Carter, one of the things
that's how you'll know it's late cycle.
That's late cycle stuff for sure. So he's, been investing in, startups in the crypto space for I think 6-7 years or something like that. And he's saying that for the first time ever, he's seeing founders in Bitcoin specific startups with non-Bitcoin crypto experience, like Ethereum and Solana, but building on Bitcoin, as opposed to everything else his whole career, which was, Bitcoin natives that are founders of companies on Ethereum or Avalanche or Solana, or non-Bitcoin crypto native building on those blockchains. But this is the first time that he's seeing Bitcoin specific startups by founders that are non-Bitcoin crypto native, right? I thought that was kind of like an interesting shift in dynamic that I hadn't seen before.
That is super interesting, and I hadn't heard that. And like as I think about it, I just see that. I see Justin Spittler in the chat pump my STX bags, and that's something I was going to bring up, right? Is as we think about Bitcoin trending more towards finding different scaling solutions, whether that's Lightning, whether that's these inscriptions on chain, whatever the case we're talking about, I think we're going to see more of a wave of that, right? Because again, it really is Bitcoin versus everything else. There's a tremendous amount of value in this decentralized public ledger aspect. Whether people agree with it or not, it's just a fact, right? It's just, you can disagree from an opinion standpoint, but it is a fact. So I think that those scaling solutions are going to become more and more apparent, more and more widespread. I don't necessarily have an investment thesis in those. I just think it's going to generally increase adoption for Bitcoin specifically, right? So again, that just goes back to the original thesis in Bitcoin, which is further and further adoption.
How much are you using the decentralized exchanges versus centralized exchanges in your personal trading?
Really not much. Really not much.
Only when you have to?
Yeah, I guess. And even as I think about it, like when I've gone really far out on the risk curve, like if I'm having to go to, I'm even trying to think of some of the DEXs that I've used. I can't even name one off the top of my head. Oh, I mean, just Uniswap is probably the one that I've used the most.
Yeah, me too.
I think I've used
you got
SushiSwap.
Apex. Apex is a good one.
I haven't used that one before, but I know for me, like when I've taken trades on those platforms, I've almost always got burnt. I'm the last guy to the party kind of thing. So I've kind of set up a rule for myself this cycle. Like, Caleb, you're not doing that this time. Like, no matter what you find out there, just stick with the big leaders, right? Just stick with the blue chips.
What about getting on some of these layer 2s to save costs on the transactions? Are you not trading enough where that's going to be material? Too much of a pain in the ass?
Probably, and then I still use Coinbase, but I use their advanced trader. So you just go into your settings, and I think you drop your fee down to like 0.3%.
Yep. But then they collect subscription revenue from you, which is just incredible. Good for them.
Yeah, right. They kill it. Yeah. Caleb, Franzen, I really appreciate it, man. This is always a fun conversation. I'm super excited for you being able to travel the world for the last year. Keep it up. I'm rooting for you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you guys.
Adios.
Always safe. Always safe.
All right, brother.
Take care, guys. Peace.
Dude, good for him. Listen, there's a time in your life where you're able to do these kind of things, and most people don't take advantage of that, and he is. So good for him.
Very happy for him.
Good for him.
Good guy.
Dude, a year in Eastern Europe, kind of just traveling around. God bless. He was living in Philly before. Talk about an upgrade.
Big upgrade.
He's doing the real life Euro trip. He's living Euro trip in real life. So credit to him.
Oh my God. I saw there's a meme going around of Kirk Cousins now in Atlanta, and it's the picture of the Euro trip guy.
Some big moves. Some big, off-season moves.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. Some big moves in the hot corner today as well, Steve. You want to talk about that?
Please.
Yeah.
We had a busy congressman. Busy.
Hit it.
So hot right now.
So don't think we brought any charts. Just show the table because none of the charts really stand out.
So this is a California representative.
Rokana. Yeah, just buy the Dow though. Really, I mean, and they all do this. They all do this. It's probably an advisor doing it, right? When I look at this list of stocks, this is a person who very much wants to track the market, clearly based on what he's buying.
You know, this guy's from Philly. Speaking of which,
yeah,
he went to Yale.
So Archer Aviation stands out. We talked about this one yesterday. ARC up in their stake here. This is not insignificant at all. You know, moving higher by 1.5% in terms of their total ownership percentage of Archer. We showed the chart yesterday. You got a little like scoop and score situation going on there. I think this one's interesting. The Delta Airlines CEO was on one of the networks this morning talking about this type of company. Delta has a big investment in another one. Apparently there's 3, Spencer. It's not just these guys and Joby. There's like a Wheels Up or something.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought there was just 2. Okay.
Delta's got like a big stake in this Wheels Up, whatever. But it seems like they're all of these investments, right? This one's on the hot corner again. Joby's been on the hot corner before, are kind of telling us like this is a theme to be aware of and probably pay pretty close attention to, that the airlines are all moving towards. They're all getting involved. ARC is now involved. Who was buying it the other day? Who was buying the Archer?
The
automakers.
Stellantis. Yes, the automakers.
Yeah, Stellantis.
Right? So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Another one that stands out, Global Star. This is also aviation related, right? This is airplane internet. GSAT.
Is it? Is it? I didn't realize that.
Yep. Throw the table up again.
CEO of Lionsgate, $500,000.
Yeah, but
we don't care.
I can't do it with these networks or these streaming these are dead businesses.
Yeah,
it's just nothing here. Sorry, Lionsgate. There was another
Lionsgate's been rumored as a takeover target for
my whole career. My whole career. Dude, Carl Icahn was in this guy like in 2004, 2005.
What do they even do? They make like one movie every 5 years. Like
it's a movie studio. Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, we have a couple of these charts. Well, you mentioned Archer. We have that chart in there.
Yeah, this is a little score situation. So this one's interesting, right? Like you got 2 big names in this one making sizable purchases or increases. Sure, the ARC one probably didn't happen just in the past few days, but it happened the past week and a half. And then Stellantis, that one was recent too. So some big players making some big moves in the Archer Aviation. I don't hate the setup there.
This was the one that Fonz thought was interesting. The only good chart. He said this was the only good chart in today's hot corner.
Yeah, if you even want to call it that. So these biotechs
it's not a bad chart.
No, it's nice. These biotechs continue to creep up beneath the surface. This one's throwing back to its old all-time highs from just after its IPO in 2018, right around $40. So probably not a bad entry here.
San Diego.
Yeah, 3.2 billion.
Yeah.
This is doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best biotechs continue to pop up on the hot corner. The best biotechs. We had Viking Therapeutics on here. We had MRUS. We had Vera. So some of the biotech leaders.
New multi-week lows for biotechs on an equally weighted basis today.
Yeah, I mean, if you hate textbook reversal patterns, then you probably don't like the chart structure in biotech.
The best biotechs feels like an oxymoron to me.
No, because you're just deferring to shitty little biotechs, but the best biotechs, like the big ones, have been monsters.
Yeah, I know.
They've been great. Get your head out of the gutter. We're not talking about pot stock, Spencer. There's some good biotechs.
Yeah.
They're just either humongous or tiny and nothing in between. I think we ran a study and we counted how many biotechs are between 10 billion and 30. I think there was like 4, right? Something like that, Strazza. Like,
yeah,
it's one or the other. They're either humongous or they're tiny.
Yeah, and typically they're either in sweet uptrends or nasty downtrends.
Right.
there's
right. Also,
very little middle ground. They're either winning or they're losing.
Yes. Right. You're like either Regeneron. Like look at Regeneron and talk to me, Spencer, about the oxymoron of of the best
Yeah, that's a
biotechs.
good one. I know what that chart looks like.
Look at
Looks like what Apple used to look like.
Look at Moderna out here the past few days, literally trading like China just invented a new COVID.
I have not done Moderna. Let's take a look at Moderna. What the heck
Dude.
happened? What happened yesterday? What was that?
Was
Dude,
there any COVID? I don't know.
Us knuckleheads who know nothing about viruses.
We were
And
buying this one early.
we were buying this one early, dude. You want to talk about relative strength? If you want
We
to
had no idea. We
if
had
you
no
want to
idea,
teach
JC.
somebody the power of relative strength
Yeah.
and why we care so much about relative strength and why JC always has these ratio charts and blah, 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 blah. I can't think of a better example on this planet. I mean, maybe the NVIDIA last year, but this is probably even better than that. Everything was crashing and this stock is going up and making new highs. Remember?
We'd have to go back to the trade ideas page to confirm this, but I'm pretty damn sure that we got long Moderna during the crash, like in February of 2020.
Yes.
And then again several times.
No, it
That was
like-
it was pre-crash, man.
Yeah, but this was, we were waiting for that breakout. So this was kind of like late March, early April, or no. It was late February, early March. I mean, it was when shit was hitting the fan for sure.
Yeah.
But it was already breaking out to new highs. Yes.
The relative strength was there while the market was literally burning.
Kids, go back and look. And the adults too. Go back and look. You can look at just Moderna in the beginning of 2020 on its own.
Too.
Do a ratio chart of Moderna relative to the S&P. Look at Moderna relative to healthcare. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
Line was going up.
Yeah.
And really, and again, a perfect example. I know nothing about viruses and pandemics. Strazza knows even less. We know less now than we did then. We're more confused than ever. But boy, did we nail that trade.
We had no idea that they were involved in the vaccine stuff.
We actually had no idea they were involved in the vaccine stuff. I think we kind of figured it out, like just kind of using common sense eventually.
Well, you couldn't turn on the news and not hear about Moderna.
Yeah, but this was before that.
Yeah, I know. BioNTech was another one. I think it was BNTX.
I remember like us knuckleheads being like, I wonder if they have a cure, you know.
Yeah. All right, who's ready to
You know what happens is that the people who do know, which ain't me or Strazza, and certainly not Spencer,
not me.
They were already acting on the information that they had, which was better information than we have.
Yeah.
And they were acting upon that early, and we were just following the footsteps. Why are you acting all surprised? You know things about viruses? Is this like a hidden talent?
No, but I pay attention. I pay attention to the news.
It wasn't on the news yet, is my point.
Okay. All right. If you say so. I don't remember. It's 4 years ago.
Spencer, we this thing was popping up on our relative strength scans in February.
We'll go back.
I'm not doubting you. I believe
you. We don't delete anything. Everything's still there, so we can go back and look. It's all archived publicly.
We have the data.
We have the data. All right, we got 20 minutes left. Market just opened. Dow futures are down. Quite the reversal here this morning, which is a great example of why the futures market is not a great indication of the future. You see.
Wow.
Hey. So Dow futures lows of the day, well off the highs, down 200 points in about 10 minutes. Dow futures down 60 points on the Dow futures. S&Ps are flat. Nasdaq's flat. Bond futures have certainly rolled over now, down 60 basis points. Silver down almost 2% right now. Gold down 1%. Copper down 50 basis points. Oil down 40 basis points. The dollar now jumping up as the euro and yen certainly rolled over. U.S. 10-year yield popping off. Inflation-protected treasuries making moves here. Volatility just under 15. And then checking in quickly on the old funny money, we've got Bitcoin hanging out there near 72,000, Ethereum near 4,000.
So I think big tech today is on reversal alert. You want to be careful, right? Because
reversal up?
No, red, right? Because you got
big
this
tech,
little green there without much.
Big tech, as in like Oracle, like that big tech, or bigger
no,
tech?
because they just reported earnings.
Are you talking about the XLK?
I'm talking about XLK. I'm talking about SMH. I'm talking about NASDAQ 100. Oracle, nice chart here. We got a nasty candle on Friday, a bear golfer, right? Then we got a little bit of downside.
Ooh, a bear golfer. I like that.
You got a little bit of downside follow through, which we talked about yesterday morning, right? So go listen.
Would you consider yesterday downside follow through, or it's still question mark? I would put still question mark.
Still question mark, but the candles this morning, again, and don't yell at me like yesterday, just for kind of anticipating what could happen here. Already, if you look at like a candle in the SMH, if this thing rolls over here,
What
you
candle,
get
bro? The market opened 10 minutes ago.
That's right. So I'm anticipating, right? I'm thinking about what could happen in today's.
If you look at too many
incomplete morning, I was anticipating follow through.
If you look at too many incomplete candles, you could go blind.
Listen,
you know what they say.
You got this SMH candle right here.
That's why I wear glasses.
We took out yesterday's high. Now we're reversing lower. We could have a back-to-back bear golfers here.
I love the bear golfer. That's a new word. The bear golfer. I'm into it.
You don't want to look back at your charts at 3:30 today, 4 o'clock, and see big red sticks engulfing yesterday's little candles. That no good.
You don't see a lot of bear golfers in strong uptrends, right?
I'm a bear golfer out on the course sometimes.
I don't think you're a golfer of any kind. I've seen that swing.
I'm trying to be a bull golfer, but we'll see.
It looks like you're gonna hurt yourself.
All right, a couple other things, and then we'll bring Patrick on. We should mention Boeing. I don't have the chart of Boeing handy, but God, when was the last time? Because when was the last time this company had a good piece of news, like a positive headline? I feel like it's been 4 years since they've had anything good to say about themselves. The headline here overnight, which is going to get everybody riled up here today, is that a whistleblower has mysteriously died. There's a Boeing whistleblower who is working with the authorities.
This is true. This is true because I was gonna not cover this, but this person is dead.
Yeah.
That's not good, man. That doesn't look good. I'm sorry, that doesn't look good at all.
And
this is some Russian shit.
That's nasty. That's no good.
So Steve and I were talking like offline last week about is it stupid or not stupid to not buy an ETF just because you hate one of the top holdings? And I was gonna buy the transport and defense, or no, the defense ETF. I was gonna buy that, but like Boeing is like number 2 and number 3, and I was like, I can't own this piece of crap. I can't do it.
Honestly, Spencer, I respect that.
I can't.
Good for you. Good on you, Spencer. Good on you.
I can't. Right? So then, of course, Steve's answer to me was just buy the equal weight. And yeah, I could have bought the equal weight. Maybe
or you can make your own basket and be like, well, I like this ETF, but I don't like the top holding, so I'm going to buy equal parts the next best 3.
That's
you know what I mean? Like you can make your own basket.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like what we do with the biotechs, for example. If we want to buy a whole bunch of biotechs, you don't want the large caps. You don't want the equal weight either, because now you're just getting the whole group in a hypothetical situation. You could buy 5 of the best ones. You might not want to take the risk of owning a single biotech, and in the middle of the night, somebody dies and the FDA sends them to hell. Then you're screwed. Diversifying that a little bit, particularly in biotechs. But I don't see the problem. In that case, we're doing it specifically for risk management. In this case, you're doing it for a whole nother reason altogether, which I think is fine, Strazza, right?
100%. I like building my own customized baskets. I think there are certain industry groups like uranium, gold mining, biotech. Sean and I did it yesterday. We're looking through different individual components of the biotech ETFs. And finally we said, forget about it, man. Let's just buy the index, right? Because it pretty much neutralizes that event risk, right? Phase 2 data risk or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. They always go into phases.
Yeah, phase 2 is the big one. Listen, I want to hear more. This is some real drama. What information do we have about the murdered whistleblower? He was murdered?
Whoa.
Allegedly.
Cause of death was a apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Let's not say anything that's not already out there. But
that might be even worse. I don't know. He's like, what? That might be even worse. Like I know too much.
Where did this happen?
Where I don't actually remember where.
This is in the United States,
South Carolina. I feel like I saw South Carolina somewhere.
Dude,
I could be wrong about that.
Listen, this isn't Dateline. Can we bring on Patrick and talk about something that matters? Like this guy, I don't know who he is. He's not I'm sure it sounds terrible, but whatever. What can we do?
My point, again, my point always comes back to the stock, right? So
it sounds shady. The stock sucks anyway. Whatever.
Bro, this smells so bad.
Yeah, but it was already bad.
This stinks.
Why
it
do
already
you think Boeing is down? Why do you think Boeing is down to 4% today? You know,
Dude,
that's what stocks do in downtrends.
And I got news for you. This shit happens. Maybe not so much in America, but there's a lot of money on the line here. There's a lot of money on the line here. And Boeing is like this close to being gone forever.
God.
Their partners can't do business with them. You should hear the airline executives coming on.
Well,
About Dave
the airline, they just said it because in overnight, right? Southwest, in part of their was it Southwest or was it Delta? One of the two came out and said, "Look, we're not getting as many planes as we thought we're getting. Right? Like that's going to affect us." So I don't know. This whole industry is a mess. You want to bring on Pat? Let's bring on Pat.
Please, can we please? This
thing
gossip.
This thing could very well be a zero at this
I
point.
hope it is. Who cares?
Because it's trust. You're losing the consumer trust. The airlines aren't going to do it. Like their business is just an aggregation of a lot of or a small amount of very large contracts.
Who cares?
You start losing those contracts
because it's Boeing. I mean,
who gives a shit?
Because JC, there's only two major airplane manufacturers in the whole world.
I'm sure as a global economy, we'll find a way to move forward.
Yeah, they're going to go buy Airbus and Boeing goes away forever.
Yeah, who cares?
That's how you move forward. This just bad and getting worse. I don't even know where this. Yeah, I don't know how that's.
New 52-week lows today in Boeing relative to the S&P.
That's why. Okay, I'm bringing Pat on.
Hey, what's up, Patty?
How you doing?
Man, when I look at you, young Patrick, and I see the charts that you're sending in, and you're coming to me, with gold charts. Oh, brings a tear to my eye, Patrick. Brings a tear to my eye.
I learned that you used to be a gold bug. That's pretty interesting.
You didn't know that about me?
I guess I did, but it's been a while, right? It's been a while since
people used to hate me. I would walk into people's offices. They're like, "Get out of here! I don't want to hear your gloom and doom."
You keep those gold charts far away from me, bro.
That's right. Nobody wanted anything to do with gold charts. And then I would go to the CMT symposium in 2006, 2007, and I would come back to the office with all these gold charts and be like, "Look how cool this chart is." And be like, "Nobody cares. Nobody cared."
What's the best move you've seen in gold, or the most memorable?
The consolidation during the financial crisis in 2008, where you have an inverse head and shoulders that was breaking out.
Okay.
The most memorable move from gold for me is how it's done nothing for 12 years.
Right. So go back to 2008. You asked me, go back to 2008 and look at that inverse head and shoulders in gold between 08 and 09, and then look at that breakout. Woo!
It is exciting, right?
Woo!
Because I assumed I would be dead before gold ever made a new all-time high.
See what happens when you assume?
Yeah. All right.
You miss out on gold. All right, Pat.
It's like it broke out and then it just all-time high after all-time high. It went on something like an 8-day streak or something. Kind of reminds me of 2020 when it broke out. I think it went 11 days in a row after it broke out to an all-time high, and that was all you got. That was it for the move. It went on a huge streak like that, and then that was it. But what I was talking about with this chart, so RSI hit a 3-year high last week, and I was just kind of pointing out that extreme overbought is not a bad thing necessarily.
This is on a daily,
yeah.
Pat?
Well, yeah. So I used daily RSI down there, and when it hit 80.5 or whatever it hit last week, when it hit that in 2019, it went on to rally another 53% before it peaked out. So, extremely overbought sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like there's too much of something, but at the end of the day, it's just too much buying pressure, right?
Right. Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. No.
What about these stocks, though?
I know they just can't catch a bid. I mean, even if you're looking for a reason to buy them, it's tough. They're just not giving you one.
Guys, you see Deutsche Bank today? Wow, wee wah.
Ooh.
What do they do?
Big gap.
What are they buying? Are they buying Credit Suisse or something?
Talk about something that you'll probably be dead by the time you see an all-time high. And man,
Yeah.
Well, that's a different ball game. You know,
Is it?
Deutsche Bank compared to gold. Yeah, Deutsche Bank's been going down. Gold has been going sideways.
Deutsche Bank's been going up.
Well, lately, zoom out.
Yeah. Pat, I wanted to share this NVIDIA Apple chart that you shared with us.
oh yeah.
Let's bring that up on the screen. Why is this important?
Yeah, so both of them were kind of in the spotlight last week, and it kind of couldn't be more opposite, right? You had NVIDIA ended the week up 6%, and of course you got that really nasty reversal on Friday. And then Apple ended the week down like 5%, and it reversed to the upside. So I kind of wanted to look at the ratio between the two, and it's pretty extended. I mean, it's the most extended it's been since the dot-com bubble. I think 103% above the 200-day. But, that's a big base. So in other words, you might see a correction, Apple might outperform in the short term, but longer term, NVIDIA looks like it could definitely catch up to Apple and maybe even flippening Apple, the real flippening.
I think so.
Apple looks terrible. I mean, there isn't a tech stock out there that looks worse. I mean, Apple's lost Apple's lost $500 billion in value just in the last few months. $500 billion.
And I think NVIDIA's rise to success while Apple's kind of falling, I think that's kind of masked some things beneath the surface. I heard a stat somewhere that NVIDIA added like an entire Tesla and Starbucks in like a 14-day period or something like that. I mean, but that really does stuff to the weightings inside the index. So it's tough to keep up, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're an ETF person or an index person, you gotta watch that stuff because it will mess with the weightings, and you end up owning more than you think you own. Right.
Right.
Look at slide 2. I want to come back to that before recess.
Yeah,
slide
you
2.
think you're diverse. You think you're diversified, and you're not.
Pat asked me my favorite gold move of all time, coming full circle.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you guys. The kids don't remember. It's 15 years ago, bro.
Wow.
I remember like it was yesterday, man. I'll never forget it. It was as clean as they come, dude. Strong uptrend, relative outperformance, breaking out of this base. Like, I mean, check.
Steve, that's one of those continuation head and shoulders that you're always talking about, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just more times the level is tested, the higher the likelihood that it breaks. Where do you think I learned that shit?
Yeah.
Beautiful thing, man. Beautiful thing. So kids, pay attention. When you see charts like that in uptrends that keep bumping up against those levels, they break, they go.
I got one for you guys. JC probably won't play the game because he's no fun, but if for the record, gold doubled after that. Good. Let's talk about today. You showed the chart. Gold and Bitcoin both basically breaking out above those old highs. You can own one for the rest of the year.
Ooh.
About 8 months and change left.
That's an easy one. You just go with the higher beta.
Is it that easy?
I think both of them, the risk management's the same. You're only long on that trade if you're above the former highs. So the risk management is exactly the same for both, but Bitcoin has more upside, right?
Steve, if I knew that I had to sell at the end of the year, I might go with gold, just because it gives you, from a risk management standpoint. If I knew that I had to sell in 9 months,
why?
You don't.
Why?
Yeah.
Because of the lower beta, frankly, right? So,
you're still going to make more money in the meantime if you go with the higher.
I don't know that. You don't know that.
I need a shirt, something about beta. We talk about beta all the time. Bull markets are for beta. Like, where are those shirts? Like, give me the juice.
Bull markets are for beta.
Juice.
I'm sure they exist. You can look them up. If not, we'll have Giancarlo make them.
Yeah, we should make our own.
Hey, Steve, wait, no. Before we do the recess, Steve, did you want to talk about Asia? We forgot about that.
It's too late, guys. It's too late.
It's too late?
Tomorrow,
all right,
tomorrow. We'll talk about Asia tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk about Asia tomorrow.
No time for me.
Yesterday we talked about the rabbit, the R1 that I ordered. I ordered 2 of them. Strazza didn't know what I was talking about. I referred him to this. Some people out there didn't know what I was talking about either. So I just wanted to share it on today's recess, a follow-up from yesterday's recess. If you want to throw up slide 2, you can watch the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Like 5 million hits or more. It's like crazy. So if you're interested in learning more about the Rabbit R1 that I ordered 2 of, it's $199. So what the hell? Worst case scenario, maybe I learned something, maybe not. I guess
I didn't know you ordered one for me. Thank you.
He ordered 1 for March, 1 for April, 1 for April, 1 for May.
No, right. I ordered 1 for April or May, and then I'm in batch 6 for the other one, which who knows when that's coming. Sometime this summer, maybe.
All right.
It's be interesting.
Wait, what is this?
It's like a new Alexa.
It is just like an AI.
Join the club, Pat. Yeah.
It's just an AI-enabled device that it's called the companion because it helps you. It actually takes action. So, like, if you need to book a flight, if you need to plan a trip, like instead of just asking like ChatGPT and it tells you things, like this actually does it for you.
It's like an imaginary friend.
It's like but it actually does things. Like it actually exists.
It's Alexa.
Like what Siri should do.
It's what Alexa and Siri should do. That's right. Yeah. In fact, this particular gentleman who's the founder of this company in the video that I just shared, if you want to drop the link, Spencer, do you have the...
Yeah.
No, I don't have the link to your Rabbit YouTube video.
I put it on the morning show.
Yeah, I talk. I'm still so surprised. Whenever I try to use Siri, I'm just like, it's simplest.
If you're interested, some people are not interested. For me, maybe
here's
I learned something.
The link in the chat.
$199.
It's not
Here's
Siri.
the link in the chat.
What?
You in it? Siri.
It's Siri. What's the difference? Tomato, potato. My recent.
Do you say please and thank you when you use
Siri, what is the difference?
Jesus, I just turned Siri on. by saying its name.
Do you say please and thank you? Because when the robots take over, they're gonna remember who's nice.
Okay. Real fast. My recess is I know I'm several days early, but what I'm going to be doing after the show is I'm going down to the kitchen. I'm going to prepare for the first time ever a corned beef brisket in honor of St. Patty's Day. I've never done it before. I've never cooked a corned beef brisket. So any tips? Or it's Sunday, and we bought a brisket over the weekend, and should probably cook it before Sunday. So we're going to do it today. I'm going to do it today. Any tips? Drop them in the chat for me. I'm a rookie. I'm a noob, but I'm
low and slow. Low and slow. Obviously, like the lowest you can. Like 200 even. Also, wrap it firmly with aluminum foil so that it's.
Well, I was going to go in the in the crock pot, so it would be like
that works.
Very slow. Yeah.
That works.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm making. I've never made a corned beef brisket, so
you can get this at like any grocery store.
This was from Costco, but yes, any grocery store.
Yeah, you should be able to get this at Publix.
You can get it at Publix, sure.
Okay, I don't know much about. You know what I won't be doing this St. Patrick's Day? I know, I won't be drinking Bud Light with green food coloring in it.
Gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
That's disgusting.
Is this a political point that you're making?
No, it's just that back in the day, if you went to the St. Patty's Day parade or anything in New York City, or we used to hang out in Stamford, all the beer was green, and it was so disgusting.
I'm going out with all my neighbors, and we're taking the kids.
Where?
Wherever we'll have them.
You should go to that Scottish pub. I'll bet they're having a good time. Right? It's Scottish.
It's Scottish. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I think it's more of an Irish thing. I think everybody's celebrating. We're going to a country club. We're doing it fancy.
Is that racist? Scottish, Scotland and Ireland, two very different.
Yeah, but what? So, I'm pretty sure St. Patrick was Italian. Wasn't he Italian? He wasn't Irish. He wasn't even Irish.
We need Sean. Sean, come on.
St. Patrick wasn't Irish.
He's an Italian in Ireland, I believe.
I think he may have been Italian. He's known as the Apostle of Ireland, but he's definitely, I think he was British.
British.
All right. Pat, do you have anything? Save us.
I got nothing. I should know more about the history of my name, but oof.
Yeah, that's right, Patrick.
He died. He died in Ireland. Yeah, he was Italian, dude.
Yeah,
he was Italian.
Really?
Yeah, I read about this the other day and totally forgot.
Italian.
All right.
Wasn't it something
Whatever.
with the snakes? No,
Probably. It was one of them. I think that was St. Patrick, right?
was it? Maybe who knows?
All I know is that I love Ireland. I love that place. What a great country. Seriously. People, shout out Ireland.
Okay.
Go to Ireland. If you love cool castles and like, old medieval shit and like, watching people get completely annihilated drunk, because that's not a joke. Like, it's next level. Like, people passing out, standing up, like, not an exaggeration.
Oh, Pat, talk about the map that you sent me yesterday.
Oh,
Patrick,
yeah.
Patrick
Right.
is doing some work.
I don't even know how we got on that, but
This is good. I wish we had it to show the graphic.
we
Tell
probably
people
do somewhere. So no, we were talking about states. Oh, you were talking about permissionless and how it's in Salt Lake City, and I was mentioning how it's like the driest state in the union.
Yeah.
And then we got to talking, so we looked at like alcohol consumption by state, and it's really, really interesting. I mean, a lot of the binge drinking goes on like up in like the northwest or north, like mid-north of the U.S. Like
They drink the most in the north, and they eat the most in the southeast. Like,
but it
those
was
southern
surprising.
states.
Here, I'll see if I can.
Something
find
is going on in Wisconsin. Let's just say it.
They're drinking a
come
lot
on.
in Wisconsin.
I mean,
and just near the Great Lakes in general, they're having a
that's
good
where
time.
Miller. Yeah, that's where Miller is based, and there's so many breweries in Michigan, so many breweries.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's one of those like color-coded heat maps, and you get up near the Great
Yeah,
Lakes.
I just
And you're
dropped
just
it in
like,
the chat.
is everything okay up there?
Well, they stay inside a lot, and it's cold,
Yeah, it's cold and they stay inside. All right, I'm not.
But
gonna-
then you see Utah, and it's just completely white.
Well, that's
It's
more of
just-
a religious thing in Utah.
Was
True.
Alaska on that chart? Big drinking problems in Alaska too.
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah,
again,
it is.
it's the worst in the north there.
What about Key West? Is there a star there in Key West?
US gets down, dude.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got to go. We got work to do.
All right. Yeah, we got to go. Spaces at 11. Chart Request Live with Strazza and Pat at 1. Stay tuned for that. Thanks to our guest today, Caleb. And go make some money. Smash the like. There's that alcohol map if those of you care. See you guys later.
Adios.
Cheers.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.